Alright, so warm-up number 30 is on your screen. Number 1 is to solve. They give us the equation 3/5 x plus 1/2 equals 9/10 minus 1/5 x. Number 2, it says write the compound inequality shown by the graph. We have a number line. We have a green graph starting with a solid point from -1 pointing to the left with an arrow at the end. We have a red graph starting from +3 solid point pointing to the right with arrow at the end. Number 3, it says evaluate the function and graph using the domain -1 to 2, and they're using interval notation with brackets at the end. And it says after that, graph only that section of the function using the function f of x equals x plus 5. So copy that, and I'll show you the solutions in a little bit. Alright, so the answers for the warm-up is on your screen. Number 1, you should have gotten x equals 1/2. And for number 2, they gave us the solution set of x such that x less than or equal to -1 or x greater than or equal to 3. And they give us the interval notations on the side, so double check your work. And then for number 3, they gave us the domain. Here it is, the range, and here's the section because they only asked us to graph that section. Alright? And the agenda should be on your screen at this moment. There it is, warm-up number 38, intro to functions. Home plate pages 12 through 15, evens only. Okay? Now check this out. Your NearPod code, write this down, YEGXA. YEGXA, you go to NearPod, you type in your period number, first and last name. And those of you joining us online that you're not at our campus, but you are joining us via NearPod, you can use that code and get the PDF play sheet for tonight and enjoy all the mathematics that are in there. Oh yes, make it a math family night or something, yeah? Alright. I didn't give you any, you know what I was just reflecting on after yesterday? That you didn't have any home play since Wednesday of last week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and today's Tuesday. What? What's the world coming to? Let's go. After we started the school year day 1 home play, right? So, what I am going to ask you to do right now, get your phones out and go to Canvas, go to our class, click on grades, take a screenshot, get that sign and brought back tomorrow. Like that, you know, they're not, your parents are not kind of like blindsided by your grade, you know. They're going to be mesmerized probably. They're going to be like, oh, let's go to McDonald's and buy a Happy Meal, right? Something like that. So get a screenshot and then just put it away and get that sign brought back tomorrow. And since it's the second quarter, you're going to Canvas, go to your grades, take a screenshot, and get it signed by tonight, yeah? And then Andy. And what did I say? Oh, get it signed, brought back tomorrow. Since we're starting the second quarter, guys, this is our day of starting second quarter. Make sure get that signed because let's start it off with 200 points, yeah? Let's go. Let's go. All right, move on. So once again, your home plate for tonight, pages 12 through 15, evens only. Let's get you started, yeah? Cornell notes, write your objective at the bottom left of your notes. I can identify functions. And today we're starting with applications. Oh yes, word problems. Yeah, our favorite. Thank you, Mr. Q. You're welcome. I can identify functions. And today we're starting with applications. Copy that. I'll give you a minute to set up your Cornell notes. We don't need a Ferrier model. Today we're going to be doing a bunch of stuff. And we're going to be doing a lot of graphing. Did I emphasize that already sometime back? Yeah, the whole year, graphing. The word for the year is graphing, yeah. So with that said, I'm going to pause the video real quick while you send a gopher for your road to go get you a graph paper over there. Do that right now, please. All right, so today we're starting with applications. I've been giving you here and there on your home plate. I don't know if you guys know this. From time to time, I give you a word problem here and there just to see how you react to those. But today's the day that I'm actually going to give you an outline as to how to approach those word problems. And we're going to get started with only linears today. Linears, all right? So, do we need a fair model in regards to functions? No, you already have those notes, so we don't need those. So let's get straight to it, yeah? On your big coordinate plane, the big one, get that in front of you. And on the top left, I know you have a little bit of space, that's okay. Those of you that write like with your feet, write smaller, please. On the top left and right, example Q, graph f of x equals negative 1/2 x plus 2 at the top left, or at the top, or wherever you can fit that. It says, example Q, graph f of x equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Then it reads, with the domain negative 6 less than or equal to x less than 2, then write the range in the same notation. Which means we need to graph it first, yes? Okay. So let's decipher what this says. Let me scroll up a little bit. Now, since you have very little room to make a table, but you have room here on the left side, is that correct? Yes, Mr. Q. So let's write our table for the left side in vertical format, x, f of x. Okay. All right. So, question. What is my domain? Think about it. They said it's from here to here. Okay, tell your neighbor what numbers we're going to write here. Tell your neighbor, please. Yeah, Pamela's got it, and yeah, Lenny's I told you already. So, all right, let's move on. So, therefore, you should have written negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay. So far so good, yes? And of course all the numbers in between, but we're going to just use those integers for right now. However, when we graph this, look up to the screen, look at the domain, negative 6 less than or equal to x less than 2. Tell your neighbor, out of all these numbers, which is the only number that is not included in the solution? Tell your neighbor, please. What number is not included? All right, I heard Thomas saying 2. Is that correct? All right. And that is correct. 2 is not included. Now, I want you to look at the domain again, the inequality notation that they gave us, and look at this. And tell your neighbor why 2 is not included. Tell your neighbor why 2 is not included. All right, Sky, why isn't 2 included? It doesn't have the equal. That means that it's not included because there's no equal to 2. Okay, but we are going to graph 2, by the way. Think about that. We're going to graph all these points, and we're going to graph 2, but tell your neighbor how you're going to graph 2, please. Oh, let's go. Lewis, how? Close. Juliana?
Open circle.
Open circle or open point to say that it's not included. All the other ones are going to be what? Solid points. So let's fill out our f of x. So I'm going to change this to red just so we can stay consistent as I always do. And we use our function f of parentheses negative 1/2 parentheses plus 2. So how do we find our range? Well, we substitute the value. What is my first value? Negative 6, negative 6. F of negative 6 equals, what is negative times a negative? Positive. 6 times 1 is 6 over 2 plus 2. Did everybody see what I did here? I just multiplied times the numerator. Okay. So question. What is 6 divided by 2? Plus 2? 5. So that goes right there. Let's do that again now with negative 5. F of negative 5 equals negative 1/2 times negative 5 plus 2. F of negative 5 equals negative times the negative is a positive. 5 times 1/2 is 5 halves plus 2. What is 5 divided by 2? Alexa, 5 divided by 2 is? $5 divided by 2 people is 2.5, yes, plus 2, 4.5, all right, 4.5. Let's do the next one. F of negative 4 equals negative 1/2 times negative 4 plus 2. F of negative 4 equals negative times negative is a positive. 4 over 2 plus 2. What is 4 over 2? 2 plus 2? 4. That goes right here. Now, we did work for 3. I'm not going to do the work for the other stuff. Unless you don't see the pattern, you are. But if you see the pattern, now you can just continue filling the rest, right? Look at the pattern. Tell your neighbor what to write next, please. And let them know the pattern. Yes? All right, what's our next number? Rachel? 3.5, and from there, what is the pattern, everyone? Minus 0.5, so this is 3, 2.5, 2, 1.5, and 1. Let's graph this really quick. So we have negative 6, 5, negative 6, 5, solid point, which is right there. Negative 5, 4.5, negative 5, 4.5, solid point. Negative 4, 4, solid point. Negative 3, 3.5. Negative 2, 3. Negative 1, 2.5. 0, 2. 1, 1.5. And look what I do with 2, 1. Look up. Yes? Open point, because that's not going to be included, but we need to show it on our graph. So, question. Arrows at the end? Tell your neighbor yes, why, or why not? Let's see. Solve. Arrows at the end, yes or no? Yeah. Yes, okay. So that would be correct if they were telling us to do the whole thing not being restricted by this domain. But for today, we're going to be looking at the domain itself and just doing that restriction, so it's without arrows. Only for that section, from here to there, without arrows. So make sure you sketch that there. Okay, so we're done with our graph, but then it says what? Identify the range. Okay, let's think. Mr. Q, did we identify range last week? Of course we did. Right? With your highlighters and stuff, yes? So get your highlighters out. I'm going to use a yellow one. And remember, for the range, we go from the bottom to the top, yes? All right. So last week, I think I used pink for the domain, going from left to right, and I used yellow from the bottom to the top. So tell me, what is the lowest Y value that I'm going to use? What would be my lowest value? Is it -3 down here? No, what do you think, Raymond? What is the lowest y value that I'm going to use for that graph? 1 is correct. So 1 is right here, so I'm going to sketch my highlighter through 1, and I'm going to go all the way up. And where do I stop, Adrena? At 5. So 5 is right here, so I'm going to stop at 5. So there's my highlighter of that section. There it is. Okay. So now that we actually are focused just on that section, look at the y-axis and tell your neighbor what are the dividing points. Where do we start and where do we end? Dividing points. One and 5. That is correct. So we start at 1 from the bottom and end at 5 of the y-axis. So that means we write our range like this. 1, 5. Since it's our range, what do we write in between? Let's look at our table. What did we write for our range? F of x. That is correct. Yes? And now that we have that in between, what do we write? Arrows. Yes, less than and less than. So let's find out if we're going to put an equal sign. I'm going to start with the number 5. Let's see. Here's 5. Follow it. There's my graph. Is it a solid point? Yes, so we put an equal sign. Go to the next one. 1. Here's 1. Follow it to the graph. Is that a solid point? No, so we leave it open as is. We're done with our range. So write in set notation. Solution set of f of x. And then we have 1 less than f of x less than or equal to 5. And there you go. How about interval notation? Okay, so we got 1, comma, 5. Tell your neighbor what symbols to use for the 1 and for the 5. All right, Andrew, for the 1 is what? Parentheses because it's not included, and the 5 is? Bracket. We good? You all right? Julia, so you're like rubbing her arms. All right, so for 1 to 5, how comfortable this quick review that we did? Yes, 4 5s, 4 5s. Yeah, we're getting there. Shall we crank it up a little bit? Yeah? Oh, yes. Turn your graph paper over. Let's go to one of the smaller graphs and copy this function, please. Oh, yes. All right, so let me give you some points so that you can guide your curve, and it's not all... I know it's not going to be as nice as mine, but just try. We're going to start at 0, 0, negative 2, 6. There's another point. And negative 5, 8, another point. So those 3 points will help you guide that curve. And down here we got 1, negative 4. And let's see, we're at 4 and negative 7. So hopefully with those points it helps you make your curve. Copy that and then copy the instructions. I'll give you some time for that. If you can fit that at the top or at the bottom of your graph. Copy that and go. Here goes the instructions again. Example supercube reads, write the domain and range of the function. So they give us the function already graphed. We just need to figure out the domain and range. Okay. But then the second part reads, then graph the portion of the function for the domain negative 2, 3 on another coordinate plane and state the new range. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's first focus on this one for domain and range. So I'm going to get my pink highlighter. Watch. And before I start highlighting, I'm just going to highlight way over here, which I know right now I'm not going to start from right there. Oh man, should have. There you go. Okay. So, according to the graph, if I was to scan this from left to right, where would it start? Where will my highlighting start? According to what I see, it will start about right there. Do you agree with that? And then just keep highlighting from there. Oh, sorry. Keep highlighting all of that, and where would I stop? I'll stop at about right there. Oh my goodness. Be nice. Well, right there, something like that, yes? However, look up to the screen. Some of you already figured it out. You're like, Mr. Q, come on. Well, notice that it has arrows at the end. And what does that mean? It continues going. So do I start highlighting here? No, I need to continue going with my highlighter to the left. Do I ever stop? Do I ever stop to the right? No. So that means my dividing point on this side is what? Negative infinity. And on this side is positive infinity. All right? So let's write our domain using that information. Domain. Negative infinity. Positive infinity. What goes in between? X. All right, let's see. Miguel, help me out. What else do I write? Less than and less than. Notice that he didn't say less than or equal to. Why not equal to? Because we never catch up to the infinity. Set notation, just for the practice. X, such stat, negative infinity, less than X, less than positive infinity. Interval notation, once again, just for practice. Negative infinity, comma, positive infinity, and what kind of symbols do we put at the end? Parentheses. Why? Because we never include them, because we never catch up to the infinity. All right. So we're done with domain, but they want us to find what? Range. So that means now I start with my other highlighter from the bottom to the top. What would be the farthest point according to what I see right now down here for Y? It would be at probably 7.5 negative, yes? And then I would keep going upward to what? Where do I start according to what I see? Let's say 8 for right now. So right there. But once again, what do you see down here, guys? Arrow, that means it keeps going to what? So that goes to negative infinity, and the arrow on top tells us that it keeps going to positive infinity. So with that information, I want you to write the range. How would you write the range given those two dividing points? My dividing point down here is negative infinity, and up there is a positive infinity. So once again, if you're watching online and you're new to the channel, and you want to share the channel, just log on to YouTube and type in 23 Mr. Q or 23 MRQ, and it takes you to an icon with Jedi Master hoodie with numbers. Some of you are like, Mr. Q, that's the hacker. No, it's not. It's a Jedi Master with numbers. And you should find the latest upload there. All right. Share with you, ever see what they wrote for the domain in any format? See what they wrote? Oh, my bad. The range. I'm sorry. All right, I think back there somebody's got it. How about Natalia? Natalia, what'd you get for the range? Negative infinity. Less than y, but instead of y we write f of x. Less than positive infinity. Hands if you got that. That is correct. Set notation, solution set of f of x, such that negative infinity less than f of x less than positive infinity. And interval notation, negative infinity, positive infinity with parentheses. Hands if you got that. Okay, we good. All right, so now this is what I'm going to do. Look up, please. Look up to the next portion, and look what it says. Graph the portion of the function of the domain, or for the domain negative 2 to 3. So they're asking us, check this out. I don't know if you guys seen those video games. I've seen some video games that somehow they use like a scope or something, and it zooms into a certain portion. So I want you guys to use that idea and zoom into my x-axis right now where we're at to this section, negative 2, 3. Zoom into that. Zoom your vision there. Everybody there? All right. So I'm going to change my highlighter to a third color, which is a green color, and I'm going to highlight that section from negative 2 to 3. So I'm going to go from negative 2, and it hits that graph right there. to 3. The 3 is over here. There's nothing over here, but I'm going to highlight straight down, and it hits my graph about right there. So I'm going to highlight that section. Do you see that section highlighted? Yes? Look at that section. Alright? So, do you notice that for -2 there is a point right there? What is the y value of that point? At -2, that is what? 6. So we got -2, 6. Here's 0, 0. And then we go to this end. What is this end on the domain? 3. And what is the y value down here? -6. Okay, so question. Will you be able to graph this on the other graph next to where you're at right now, but just this section? Do you see it? Alright, let me give you an extra support. Here it goes. I'm going to change color of that curve. Instead of blue, for this portion, I'm going to use red. So from here, if I follow the graph, I don't stop here. I keep going till I get to the end of the highlighter, which is right there. You guys see it? See if you can graph that section only on a different coordinate plane on the side. You have a little coordinate plane next to you. Yes, Mr. Q? I see Miguel like really focused, really good. Appreciate it. So let's see. You should have done something like this. Yes? And where did you start on your other graph? You should have started at -2, 6. Yes? And ended at 3, -6. Yes? Okay, so check this out. According to the domain that was given for that section, the domain was what? From -2 to 3. Now, I'm not going to use a highlighter. Tell me over the new range only for this section. What is the new range? Look at it. The new range. I'm not talking about this one over here. I'm talking about this graph, the little graph that you did on the side. What is the range? All right, let's see. How about Brianna? From where to where is our range? Okay, so the domain is from left to right, so from -2 to 3, right? So the range is, that's a domain. The domain's -6 to 6. Hands if you got that. Yeah, because we go from the bottom to the top, yes? Are the ends included? Yes, because it makes the curve, so it's this and that's how we find our range. Same notation. Now today I'm giving you a glimpse as to where we're going in regards to just sections of graphs. This is just so that you can start getting your brain wrapped around that. And some of you are like, Mr. Q, this is a lot of stuff for a Tuesday. Well, I give you guys a break. Okay? But let's crank it up a notch, yeah? Some of you are like, oh, what? Yes. On your Cornell notes, write this down, please. So copy this on your Cornell notes. If you have create a little coordinate plane there, because I think you already run out of graph, right? Graph paper, yeah? Or if you have a free one, that's fine, but on your Cornell notes, if you can make this on your Cornell notes, hurry up, please. Coordinate plane, and I'm going to give you some points to follow to guide your graph. Let's do 0, -2, 1, 0, 2, 2, 3, 4. Use those 4 points and sketch your line all the way through. Hurry up, please. Alright, so it says, write the equation of a function. So, I don't know if you noticed, so far we've been working with linear and quadratic. But to get started with functions, I've been focusing more on linear functions, especially today that we're going to be writing equations and talking about word problems. So check this out. It says, write the equation of a function. Whenever we get started in writing our equation of a function, especially with linear functions, we always start with y equals mx plus b. And according to what we covered some time ago, remember I did the quick intro to refresh your memory, we said that plus b is our y-intercept. And what is that? That is the point where the graph given is crossing the y-axis. So let me follow my y-axis. Here it is. Where does that graph cross the y-axis? It crosses at about right there. And what is that number, guys? Yeah, that number is -2. That's my y-intercept. So that means I bring down the x, I bring down the equal sign, and now instead of y, since it's a function, what do I write? F of x. Left here. Now, what are we missing from our function? The slope. Okay, I know it's hard, but think back to about a week ago. How do we find the function of that, slope of that function? Tell your neighbor, how do we find the slope of that function? Alright, let's see. Noor, go.
Explain it?
No, just how do I find the slope?
Oh, you do rise over run.
Rise over run. That means I pick 2 points. I'm going to pick this one and this one. And to get from there to there, I need to go how many steps up? 1, 2. How many to the right? 1. So my slope is 2 up, 1 to the right. That is correct. And then just simplify and rewrite your function. F of x equals 2x minus 2. Very simple, yes? Yes, Mr. Q? All right, now don't write this one. I'm going to give you another line, and I'm going to start over here and then over here. Hold on. All right, look at that one. Tell your neighbor the y-intercept of that green function. What is a y-intercept? Yeah, that is correct. +10. Okay, and how do we find the slope? Take 2 points, we'll find the slope. So let's say I wanted to pick this point and this point way over here. How many steps down? How many to the right? So it's 10 down, that means -10 divided by 10 is -1. So my new function would be, don't copy this, -1x, and then the y-intercept is +10. Okay? Yes, Mr. Q. From 1 to 5, I'll come through all you with these. Yes, we covered this before. It's just a review. All right. Today I'm going to talk about a problem-solving strategy. Now, for those of you that usually walk into class and you don't really even look at my posters, my goodness, this strategy is back there. It's one of the posters. Yeah, over there, Ms. Amora is concerned. And it's a process that we can use to decipher word problems. For the sake of time, you can go to the NearPod and finish copying the notes, but this is what it means. It says, this is a cubed process. What does that mean? Circle important numbers, underline questions, box important terms or idea, exclude unnecessary information, and draw pictures. And the way I write this is as follows. I do C for circle, and I circle the C. And what do I circle when I get to word problems? Numbers. U means to underline. And what do I underline? Questions. From there I go to green, and what do? B for box, and I put B inside the box. What do I box? Important terms or ideas. Then I go to E. And look what I do to E. I cross it out because it says what? Exclude any unnecessary information. And the last one, the letter D. Letter D stands for draw pictures. And I'm just going to do a little scribble down here. There you go, just to remind me that I need to draw pictures, okay? Now I'm going to move on to the last problem because we're running out of time. I just want to get to that problem. It's a word problem, and it's a linear problem. I just want to show you a couple of things before I have you copy it. And like I said, you can finish copying this on the NearPod presentation. Look up to the screen. It says, example mega Q. Oh, sorry. Mr. Q runs at a rate of 3 feet per second. That's right. And he runs for 30 seconds. Okay. Now, whenever we are going to graph a situation like this, just in passing, look up, you create your coordinate like so, or your quadrant. The y, or f of x, will always be distance. The x will always be time. But they're asking me to write a function. How do I write a function? Well, this is a rate problem, so I write with y equals mx plus b. Did we do that before? Yes. But now it's a what? Function. So I'm going to write f of x equals, I bring down the x, and I need to figure out the other two out. So we know that this f of x is distance. What are they talking about? Feet. And time is in what? Seconds. Okay, so watch. This is 3 feet per second. So let me use my acronym. I'm going to circle important numbers. The 3 feet per second is important, and the 30 seconds. I'm going to underline what they're asking me to do. I need to write a function, 1, domain, 2, graph, 3, and range, 4. Okay, so check this out. 3 feet per second. The word per is what? Multiplication. So here it's multiplying. What am I going to multiply the x by? The 3. Yes, that is correct. So my new function now is f of x equals 3x. I'm done with writing my function. Let's go to domain. If I start running, I always start from 0, yes? How much am I going to run in regards to seconds? 30. Not forever, because I'm going to get tired. And then I just go by increments of whatever, so you create your domain. Hold on really quick. Really quick. Increments of, I'm going to use 10, 20, 30. Do you know how to find your f of x? Do you know how to graph?
Yeah.
And do you know how to find your range from there? Yeah. Good one, guys. Enjoy your home play. Tutoring today after school. Be there or be elsewhere. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.